My name's Chris, this is the Chamael Corp, and today we're going to talk about Tinkercad. Let's get right to it. Okay, look, so there are a lot of 3D modeling software options. Some are free, some are not. They tend to generally have a very steep learning curve, but today we're going to talk about one that is pretty simple to use. And while it may seem limited at first, you can actually do quite a bit with it. So we're at Tinkercad.com. It is free. It is web-based. All your stuff is stored, on the cloud. So it's wherever you are, basically, right? So let's go check it out. All right. So, like I said, all of your designs are stored here. What you do is you go to New, and you go to New 3D Design, and you come to your workspace. Just quickly, just bringing everything into focus here, you've got some tools on the left. This box here adjusts your field of vision. This is home. This centers in on what you're selected on. You have a zoom in, you have a zoom out, and you have a 2D, 3D toggle. Over on the right, you have all of your basic shapes. You can come and do some different shapes there, but I generally stick with these basic shapes. So let's get right to it. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to go back here, and we're just going to do a very simple tutorial. So I'm going to grab a cube, put the cube there. It gives you your dimensions in millimeters, and if we come over here to focus on the cube, you see it zips right into there, and from there we can look at it. So this is 20 by 20 by 20. With a shift and a click in this corner, you can resize while maintaining your ratios. If you just grab one of the axes, you can resize like that. And one of the ways that you can do some fun and interesting things is the concept of negative space. Over here you see these tools, and you also see these two right here. So this box is negative space. So I could take this and I could slide it into the middle of this shape. Now, that's not negative space yet. You've got two separate objects, but what you want to do is you want to select both things with Shift. So you click on each one with Shift, and then you come up here, and this is your join or your group. And if we do that, you can see that we have essentially taken a chunk out of that shape. And it's intuitive enough that you can do it with any of these shapes. So I can come over here, I can grab this, and I can make that negative shape as well. Now, to move things left and right, up and down, you just click and you drag. But if you want to move things up and down, you hit Command and then your up arrow or your down arrow, and it moves it where you want it to go. And you can just keep building on this new shape that you're creating. And it really is kind of fascinating, the different things that you're able to do with just this concept of negative space, right? Look how different this shape is from the cube that we started out with. You do have an ungroup button next to the group button, and you do have an undo button over here, so you can undo all the way back to what you started out with. So how do we use this to make something a little bit fancier than just basic shapes. So let's start with, maybe we want to do like the engine of a ship. That sounds kind of fun. So I'm going to grab this cone, and we're going to make this bigger. I'm going to show you another tool here is the rotate. So we're going to rotate this 180 degrees so it's sitting like that. I'm also going to come over here because if we zoom in on this guy a little bit, you can see that it's not perfectly round. Most of these shapes you can adjust the number of sides, and if we slide that all the way over to 64, all of a sudden our shape becomes much smoother and much rounder. So if we're talking about an engine, let's envision a Star Destroyer engine, for example, right? Let's go ahead and let's do a copy and a paste with your standard Control-C, Control-V. Let's take this from its 52 and let's go down to 47. Okay, so now we've got two shapes that are basically the same size, one's just a little bit smaller. We're going to use that concept of negative space. We're going to slide that in, and then we're going to raise it. And then I'm going to go to the top view. And I can see that I'm not quite centered yet. Using my arrows, I can get it pretty close, but it's moving currently 1 in 1 millimeter increments. So let's change that to 0.25 millimeters, which gives us a little bit more control. And I think that looks like it's about centered. So let's take that, let's select the solid shape, let's group them. And also I want to click on this, I want to change the color because I don't like that's a bit easier to see that way. Okay. Now you might say, okay, we've got a cone. It doesn't look like an engine. So why don't we work on that? Let's take this, and one of the things we need to do is we need to make this quite a bit bigger so we're getting most of the bottom. And once again, select both and group. Now, if we look at it from the side, this is clearly off the ground, right? We want things to be touching the plate, so we're going to just push D on your keyboard. And it's going to select it and you push D. It drops it right down. Okay. Now things are a little bit better. What if we're going to move him off to the side for a minute, and he is about 52 by 52. We're going to take this ring. First thing we're going to do, we're not using sides here. Oh yeah, we are, it's right there. So we're going to use the sides to smooth that out. We're going to click on this box and we're going to go to maybe 50 and 50. And we're going to reduce our wall thickness from 2.5 to about 0.25. Now that made it really thin. And we're going to drop this down to about 4 or 5. We'll go 4 just to keep things. I'm going to slide this over here. We're going to look at it from the top. I'm going to focus myself on this again. Yep. We're going to drag this so that we can get it centered. Then I'm going to come down and I'm going to go to 2 millimeters, and we're going to pop this all the way up, again using Command and your arrow keys. And maybe I don't want this at 4, maybe I want this closer to 2. But I don't want that 2 up, so we're going to go to 1 to just raise it a little. Then we're going to shift, select the other object. We're going to join. Alright, it made the object orange. I think it's because I had the orange circle selected first. So we're going to go back to this color. And you can see, especially if we zoom in a little bit, that we're able to add just a little bit of detail into it now. Still not quite looking like an engine, but we're getting closer. I'm going to come back. I'm going to grab another one of these shapes. We are going to make the sides. I'm going to keep this at a 0.25 thickness. I think that worked really well. Actually, no. Let me take that back. We're going to go to a 1 thickness. And we're going to drop this to a 1 thickness. Then we're going to come over here. And we're going to maybe make it 35 or so. And I'm going to, once again, center this as best I'm able. That is pretty darn close. Okay. Now, we're going to copy and we're going to paste that. And the one we just did was 35 by 35. Let's do another one at maybe 15 and 15. And once again, we're going to slide that in the center. And at this point, you might think that I might not know what the heck I'm doing. You might not be far off, but what we're going to do is we're going to center that one. Then we're going to come in this way. And what that's done is it really allows us to make some definition in this engine, right? So now we're going to bring this guy up. And just for sake of time, I'm going to move this back to 1. We're going to raise it. Okay. And you can see we're not quite centered, so we're gonna take this to its lowest setting, 0.1 millimeter, and we're gonna come down, and we are just gonna try and get some consistency there. That is pretty close. If we come back here, we're going to join those together. And when you look down there, you can start to see some of those, right? And we're going to come back in, and we're going to do a couple more of these. I might speed things up just so you don't have to. Now, we're going to go like that. We're going to take this, and instead of 45, we'll maybe go 28. And we will come in here. We will center this as best we can. And then we will come over here, bring it back to 1, and we will raise this up, and I can see that we are not quite there. So let's see what we can do. That looks better. So let's raise that up a couple more. Let's do a join. Then we're going to come here and we're going to grab the cylinder shape. We're going to max out our sides. we are going to drop that from 20 to about 10. And instead of 20 here, we're going to go to about 30. And we're going to have to come back in, and we're going to have to move it back down to 10. Maybe we want some detail here, so we're going to grab another ring. Move our sides. That was 30 by 30, so let's do 31. Drop it down to about 3. We're going to make that negative space. We're going to center in on this guy now. We're going to hit top. And we're going to move this over like so. Now we're going to come through. We're going to do that. So then we're actually going to make this 2. I'm going to do a copy and a paste because I want this one. If we have this at a 10, I want this one to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I want to move this one into center. And we're going to run this one up as well. We're going to try to do like that. And go like this. We're going to join those, which gives us a little bit of just extra detail there. We're going to back it out. We are going to select our engine. We're going to move it over top. And we're going to have to center it down now. So this is where, if we don't get it correct, we're going to be able to tell. That looks pretty good. But now I want 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That looks good. Select them both. We're going to group. We're going to come up like this. And we probably should do something in there to make it look like there's a space for like whatever the propulsion method is, right? So why don't we come over here. We're going to run up our sides. We're going to flip it 180 degrees. Then I'm going to grab this sphere. Maybe go to 12. Once again, sides. We're going to make that negative space. We're going to focus in on this guy. Now this, it's pretty close. I'm going to bring this up. Like that. Like that. We're going to group that. I'm going to take another one of these. We're going to go sides. We're going to shrink her down to like, we'll say 5. Only this one, we're going to make taller, like that. Okay, I can't see with this dark color, so we're going to change that. I'm going to slide this in like so. And we're going to get to our center. We're getting there. Got it. Now we're going to come through and we're going to join these together, which gives us that. Then we can come through like that, we can come through like that. We can slide that in here. Got that in. I'm going to grab a hold of this one. We're going to bring it up a bit. Like that. How far we do? How about right there? That should be good. Okay, we join that together. We select it, get it on the build plate correctly. And you have back of an engine. It could also be the top of a lightsaber, like the emitter. But that is how you can do some really cool and really detailed things with Tinkercad. Again, Tinkercad is free. Oh, this way. It is really quite intuitive. There's an export button at the top. You hit export. You can export it out to a .stl or a .obj. STL file will allow you to move it into your 3D printer slicer so you can then print this off. OBJ will allow you to bring it into other applications like, you know, a Blender or Fusion 360 or something like that. But this tool is really powerful for a free web-based tool. You can do a lot with it. There isn't the learning curve. It's fairly straightforward. So this is what I use for most of my stuff. I hope this has been helpful. If it has, I invite you to hit that like button. Ignore the pounding from upstairs. That are my children. And hit the comment section if you've got something else that you like to use that doesn't require a lot of training beforehand. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. We'll be back at you next time with another video, and in the meantime, I encourage you to keep creating.